Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome to. We just had some technical difficulties in terms of getting everything up and running. But we want to welcome you to Jackman Group's Pause Break 30. Want to thank you for joining us for our first Pause Break. Pause Break 30, if you don't know, is a weekly chat where we'll focus specifically on topics along the lines of health, business, or sports. We'll also do some spot check-ins where we'll go around the world and check in with individuals to see how they're dealing with COVID-19. Our goal basically is during this time is of isolation and quarantine is to bring you up to date as to what's taking place, but to help you. So we will touch on some specific topics. And if you can, just do me a favor, just like and share with others and let them know that this is taking place weekly, every Thursday, around the same time. So for tonight's pause break, I've invited a special guest, Stephanie Jackman. Stephanie is a mental health consultant, and she'll talk about mental health, coping, and reaching during COVID-19. For transparency, Steph is my lovely wife, and she's an expert, as I said, in mental health. So let's bring Stephanie in. Hey, Steph.
Hi, Pat. Hi, everybody.
So welcome to Pause Break 30. To start out, let's get a quick overview. Let's talk about you and what you do currently in your profession.
Good evening, everybody. So, I am a mental health consultant and private practice clinician. I've been in private practice now for 9.5 years and a mental health consultant. And basically, as a mental health consultant, I help government agencies and nonprofits develop and enhance their mental health services and programming. And as a mental health uh, private practice clinician, I help individuals and families during mental health crisis and any mental health diagnosis supports that they may need.
All right, thanks, Steph. So let's talk about mental health, specifically as it relates to COVID 19. Where do you think we are right now as a community dealing with COVID 19?
Well, I would say, as a mental health professional, we're definitely in unprecedented times, a lot of fear, a lot of worry regarding what's next. And what I would definitely say is individuals that have pre existing mental health conditions such as depression, bipolar, anxiety, OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, any of those pre existing mental health conditions, any symptoms that you may be having prior to COVID 19, you will definitely potentially experience an increase in symptoms as a result of the fear of the unknown. And so it's important that we refrain from as much isolation as we possibly can. I know that the experts have stated that we definitely need to practice social distancing. And I am definitely a proponent and supporter of social distancing. What I would like to say regarding social distancing is my belief is that social distancing is really more about physical distancing as opposed to social distancing. And what I mean when I say that is physical distancing is really about proximity away from individuals. They're saying, 6 feet away from individuals. And I certainly agree with that in an effort for us to be able to curb the spread of COVID 19. But I think it's very important that individuals, we realize as a society that we do not have to um, socially isolate per se. because we have so many platforms that we can utilize in terms of being able to engage with family, friends, loved ones. So we have um, FaceTime, we have Zoom, we have Skype, we have cell phones, text
Facebook Live.
messages, we have, yes, we have Facebook Live. So it's really important to understand that even though we may be at a point of social isolation as a result of COVID 19, it's important to realize and understand that we do not have to socially um, withdraw from family, friends, and loved ones. So let's use the platforms in which we have to be able to reach out to family, friends, loved ones, near and far, because we're all in this together.
Another question for you, Steph, is what advice would you give to those that are viewing that are struggling to cope with being alone during this time of isolation or during this time of quarantine?
Right. So Pat, that's really huge in terms of the coping piece. So, a couple of things that I would like to suggest and recommend. The first thing that I would suggest during this time, one of the best ways to cope is to continue to keep the structure of your day, and whatever the structure of your day looked like prior to COVID 19. So, if that meant that you were up and leaving out of the house and ready for work at 8 o'clock in the morning, then it's important for you to be up at 8 o'clock in the morning, start your day, put your clothes on, have breakfast. And if you have the pleasure of working from home, you do that. You take your regular scheduled lunch break at 12. And it's important also, let's not forget our kids, make sure that we keep them on their routine schedule as well. So the structure for the day is very important. The other piece that I would say is make sure that you're limiting your access to a lot of the news outlets and social media as it pertains to limit your crisis talk. And when I say crisis talk, I mean if you are getting information pertaining to COVID 19, make sure that you are listening to and you're reading reliable sources. So yes, we're on a social media platform, but social media should not be the go-to as it pertains to getting reliable information on COVID 19. In addition to that, I would say make sure that you're not inundating yourself with all this information at all day, every day, listening to it, because it can definitely be a lot. It can wear heavily on us mentally and emotionally. And then with keeping the structure of your day, I would say be sure that you implement a self-care plan for yourself and your family as a whole. What does that look like? Making sure that you're having balanced meals every day. Try to eliminate a lot of carbs, a lot of sweets. Make sure that you are not excessively engaging in excessive alcohol drinking,
Mm.
not smoking a lot of cigarettes and nicotine and any other mood altering chemicals that can kind of distort your perception of things. In addition to that, make sure that you're getting adequate exercise. Make sure that on beautiful days that we have, make sure that you go out to the house, pick up your mail, do some DIY projects around the house. I've definitely been looking to get Pat into doing more DIY activities around the house,
Yeah, yeah, you have.
and making sure that we're doing some projects that we wanted to do around the house, some spring cleaning. Um, Again, make sure that you're incorporating your kids with the school schedule. You can incorporate them from a non-traditional standpoint as it pertains to math. You can do that through baking and those types of things. So those are a couple of things that I would recommend at this time.
Okay, great. So let's look at another area where we're going to continue from a mental health standpoint. Again, this is Pause Break 30 by the Jackman Group. And what we're going to do over the next couple of weeks is focus specifically on health, business, sports, things that we normally do during our normal way of doing things pre COVID-19. So we don't want to continue watching, as you said, Steph, whether CNN or Fox or whatever. I know I was caught up in that earlier on because I wanted to get every piece of news about what's going on, but I had to check myself and says, what am I feeding into my spirit? So I had to check myself with that. But let's look now. So we talk about coping. Let's take a look now at reaching out. So from a mental health perspective, is it important or is it not important for us to touch base with others? If it is important, why so?
Well, Pat, I would say that it's definitely important for us to be able to reach out to others. This is a time through adversity where we should be reaching out to other people, particularly those that may be seniors and elders, where they may already be experiencing some type of isolation prior to COVID-19. It's even more important that we reach out again to neighbors and family and friends and loved ones that may have already been somewhat isolated. I was watching the news the other day and I saw a family member actually visit his parent in the nursing home, and he actually did a window visit where he was not able to go into the nursing home, but he actually stood at the window where his father was, and he put his hand on the window, and his dad put his hand on the window to be able to just know that he was present and there and not alone. So it is important to be able to reach out to others. And we can certainly do that in a non-traditional fashion because right now we're experiencing non-traditional times. So, just to give a few thoughts around what that would look like, again, reach out through various social media platforms, text messaging, FaceTime, Facebook, Zoom, Skype, whatever your preferred platform is. Take the opportunity to check on a neighbor, call them, let them know that you've prepared a meal for them, drop it off on their doorstep, have them open up the garage, leave it on the step at their garage. It's a great time in order to be able to do some of the things in which we haven't had the opportunity to do because we've been so busy with life. So what does that mean? Being able to read a book that we've been saying we were going to read and we haven't had the opportunity to read that book.
Or clean out your office.
That's Pat saying clean out his office. Absolutely. The next would be cleaning out the garage, right? And so being able to do again some of those home improvement and activities. In addition to that, I would definitely say, you could start a virtual book club. You can start a virtual Bible study. You can start a virtual girls' night out on Friday and what that would look like.
Good.
Also, in addition to that, there are a lot of educational institutions that are now offering free online courses that you can take for free. So I think I was reading the other day that Yale University is allowing us to be able to take a class on the science and the pursuit of happiness, right? So there's great opportunities in order to be able to take some time to increase our learning and continuing education supports and services. And then, yesterday we had the opportunity to participate in virtual game night with another couple. And so we were here in our house and the other couple, dear friends of ours, were in their house and they were actually able to see us. We did video and we played games together. So there's great opportunities. Yes.
Shout out to the praise. Shout out to Jim and Judy and Megan and Ollie.
Yep. So we had the opportunity to engage with other couples. So we have to begin to definitely think outside of the box so that isolation and depression and fear and worry doesn't set in and have that impact on our mental health and our mental well-being.
Good. I see you, Brenda. Brenda said that she had also had to check herself in terms of watching too much of the news. Yeah, so I bet that's probably a lot of us where we generally have to check ourselves because we're brought in trying to find out more how things are going in the community and the nation and the world, and we could really find ourselves watching so much TV and all that. Everything goes into us, and that can probably bring about some form of mental health, whether it's depression or anxiety or something, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what we take in definitely is going to come out in some shape, form, or fashion. So it's really important that we're mindful in terms of how much we're consuming. And again, as busy as many of us were prior to COVID-19, I'm sure that there's so many other things that we could potentially be doing as opposed to taking it all in through the news and commentary.
Steph, just one last thing, and I know we had some technical issues starting, so I don't want to go past too much past our 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and wrap it up here. And are there any resources that you can suggest or recommend, or maybe share with our audience that can help them with during this time with mental health?
Sure, absolutely. So I would just want to say identify myself as a Christian therapist. I would say this is a critical time for us that are Christians because it's a vital time in terms of how we're going to be able to respond in a time of adversity. So as opposed to looking inward to what's going on with us, it's critical that we're looking outward to be able to help others
Yes.
in a time of need, right? So first and foremost, I definitely want to say that. The other piece that I want to say is if you have pre-existing mental health conditions or disorders prior to COVID-19, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is that you continue to take any prescribed medications that you have been prescribed by your physician. And in addition to that, continue to have your therapy appointments. Most insurance companies at this point during this time have began to improve coverage for telehealth and teletherapy services. So if you have not been connected with a therapist and you're feeling like you're experiencing an increased level of distress at this time, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to your insurance company, and they will let you know what therapists are in your network in your area. In addition to that, I would say that New York State, if you're in the New York State area, New York State has a line that is entitled the Emotional Support Line. And the number for that is 844-863-9314. That's 844-863-9314. And I would say that anyone, you do not have to live in the state of New York in order to be able to utilize that resource. In addition to that, here locally in Monroe County, we have, of course, 211, which is Lifeline. So those are just a few resources. But again, I would encourage you that if you are under the care of a physician or a therapist or psychiatrist, I would encourage you to continue to receive their supports and their services, because these are uncharted times that we're facing. And it really takes a strong person to be able to acknowledge and admit that they do need help, because during this period of time, we are all in this together.
Yes.
We are alone, but together. And so it takes a strong person to be able to acknowledge and admit, yes, I do need some help. Yes, I need some supports, and utilize that time. And like I said, for those of us that are Christians, it's important that, we exercise our faith during this time period and utilize that and walk in that and be an extension of support to others that may not be able to tap into their faith at this particular point.
Absolutely. Good, 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 good. And just remember now is that if you are not in New York State and you want more information in terms of available resources, to check your state and just focus in terms of ask them what services do they have available in terms of mental health. So make sure that you check your local community, check your county or your city or your state, or even in terms if you are overseas in another country, make sure that you check all available resources that's available to you when it comes to mental health. So, Steph, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Great information as it relates to coping and reaching as for COVID-19. Now, this brings us to the end of our session, our very first pause break 30. So, what I want you to do is to share this with others, with your friends on Facebook. Share it, let them know that every Thursday we are going to be here, whether live, you can also, in terms of, we will have it up so you can share it. You can invite others to watch it via your watch party. But we are going to be here every Thursday until the authorities say it's time for us to get back to our normal lives. So, pause break 30. We want to thank you. Uh, Let us know what topics that you would like for us to speak about in the coming weeks. You can either comment below. I'll look at all the comments, or you can email us at info@jackmangroupllc.com. So thank you so very much. You have a great night, Steph. Thank you. Next
Thank
week,
you.
we're not sure who we'll have, but we'll have someone good. So health, business, sports, and then we'll go around the globe, and I'll contact some of my friends and family across the globe, across the world, to see how they're doing. I'll check in with them, and we'll get them live on pause break 30. So you guys have a great night. We love you, and may God bless you and your families. See you later.
Good night.